My question is question I've had since I was a kid.
Well, there won't be time for that, yes.
I've always wanted to know what happens really to all of us when we pass on, and do we know one another? It just seems that it would be an awful waste if we pass and we don't know each other wherever we are.
Not only do you know each other, you know each other. In other words, now, a large percentage of Earth population, human population, gets to know one another through what you see, what you say. But when you make your transition into non-physical, you are a vibration. And the intimate awareness is beyond words, beyond what you see. And so the answer is yes, yes, yes. We want to give you a little bit more there by saying to you that Esther has a sense of what that must be like as she feels the broadness of Abraham perspective dominating her experience in a venue like this. In other words, Esther is still present, and certainly much of what Esther is part of this deciphering interpretive process. But Esther can feel that in this moment she is so much more than the Esther that walks around most of the time. Opening this vortex and allowing so many of you to summon so much more gives her a sense of what it must be like to reemerge into non-physical. When you make that transition, there is no sense of where am I? There is no sense of disorientation. There is no sense of being lost. There is no sense of needing to look for somebody who died earlier to take you by the hand and lead you down the angelic trail. In other words, when you make that transition in the releasing of resistance, there is an instantaneous remembering, an automatic knowing of who you are. You become that broader being. And so not only do you recognize one another, but you become one with one another, so that there is no separation between that which you are. And the jubilance, the feeling of ecstasy, the sensation of personality, the awareness of who you are is not diminished in any way by the awareness that you are then blended with others, you see. It is only in the physical format that your separation is so evident. You sit around in these clumps, you see, and you say, well, I am this person in this clump, and you are that person in that clump. But you may have noticed, we have certainly noticed it, that as time goes by in an environment like this, you become less individual clumps as the energy that is you begins to coalesce. Yes.
Thank you. One last question. My youngest daughter, 10 years old, she's very receptive to Abraham's teachings. She has read Sarah and Seth, and I'd like to know if she could attend any of Abraham's seminars.
The thing that is a little tricky about that, Jerry and Esther have talked about it and organized one or two in the early days. And what happens, because interests of young ones are very much varied, and the kinds of questions they ask at different ages is very much varied. And so they're not as satisfied as they listen to one another. A lot of fidgeting goes on, although they could go to sleep, we suppose. But what we would say to them, because for the most part they are remembering something that their parents often have forgotten. Many of them are already still fully in connection with their own sense of well-being. And so we would not say to them, no, you are not allowed to attend. We would say to them, the adults need it so much more. we're making room for them at this time. Be playful about it. And then say to them that you are working on your own connection. It's fun to come and play like this, but we have to tell you that the hundreds of thousands of people that are participating in this Abraham experience are participating from a distance, for the most part, listening to recordings. And it is not necessary to be physically present. It can be fun, but the vibrational alignment can happen on all levels. Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes, indeed.